For a man to conquer himself is the first and noblest of all victories. The empty vessel makes the loudest sound. The beginning is the most important part of the work. Reality is created by the mind. We can change our reality by changing our mind. He who does not desire power is fit to hold it. No one ever dies an atheist. Better a good enemy than a bad friend. The greatest wealth is to live content with little. Nothing in the affairs of men is worthy of great anxiety. Knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. He who is not a good servant will not be a good master. No one ever teaches well who wants to teach, or governs well who wants to govern. When you feel grateful, you become great, and eventually attract great things. Those who tell the stories rule society. Access to power must be confined to those who are not in love with it. You get to know someone better by playing for an hour than by talking for a year. Knowledge is the rediscovering of our own insight. To conquer oneself is the best and noblest victory. To be vanquished by one's own nature is the worst and most ignoble defeat. Take charge of your thoughts. You can do what you will with them. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around laws. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Welcome out of the cave, my friend. It's a bit colder out here, but the stars are just beautiful. But tell me, this physician of whom you were just speaking, is he a moneymaker, an earner of fees, or a healer of the sick? One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance. Dictatorship naturally arises out of democracy, and the most aggravated form of tyranny and slavery out of the most extreme liberty. Democracy is a charming form of government, full of variety and disorder, and dispensing a sort of equality to equals and unequals alike. Death is not the worst that can happen to men. This city is what it is because our citizens are what they are. Knowledge without justice ought to be called cunning rather than wisdom. Rhetoric is the art of ruling the minds of men. Democracy passes into despotism. Honesty is for the most part less profitable than dishonesty. Better a little which is well done than a great deal imperfectly. As the builders say, the larger stones do not lie well without the lesser. To be sure I must, and therefore I may assume that your silence gives consent. When there is an income tax, the just will pay more, and the unjust less on the same amount of income. Excess of liberty, whether it lies in state or individuals, seems only to pass into excess of slavery. We do not learn, and what we call learning is only a process of recollection. Any man may easily do harm, but not every man can do good to one another. Necessity, the mother of invention. The community, which has neither poverty nor riches, will always have the noblest principles. Tyranny naturally arises out of democracy. No one knows whether death, which people fear to be the greatest evil, may not be the greatest good. The most virtuous are those who content themselves with being virtuous without seeking to appear so. To suffer the penalty of too much haste, which is too little speed. Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something. Only the dead have seen the end of war. Education is teaching our children to desire the right things. In men, the desire for sex generates love. In women, love generates the desire for sex. Poverty doesn't come because of the decrease of wealth, but because of the increase of desires. The people always have some champion whom they set over them and nurse into greatness. The root from which a tyrant springs is when he first appears as a protector. It is better to be wise and not seem so, than to seem wise and not be so. Yet men, for the most part, desire the contrary. A tyrant is always stirring up some war or other, in order that the people may require a leader. All learning is in the learner, not the teacher. Democracy leads to anarchy, which is mob rule. The qualities which a man seeks in his beloved are those characteristics of his own soul, whether he knows it or not. All wars are fought for the sake of getting money. To a good man, nothing happens that is evil. The seen is the changing, the unseen is the unchanging.